watch this magic. I'm going to use this ring and turn on the sun. I'm going to show you how you can make this for next to nothing. Right, we are back with another incredible resin art video. Well, I say resin art, you don't really need to have resin to make this. There are ways that you could do this without even having or owning resin. So make sure you watch the whole video, because I will be talking about, whether you need it or whether you don't, it's up to you. But a couple of years ago, I made this prototype using one of my resin cabochons that I made. And I basically, I was really intrigued by some technology that I saw on YouTube. And it was using something known as a reed switch. So they're magnet activated. So basically, this ring here helps if you turn it on, Dan. It has a magnet inside. Now the reed switch is a switch. It's a tiny switch with a piece of wire inside. When the magnet attracts the loose wire, it makes a connection. But it was just a prototype. But you can see from this, it's really bulky, and it was again just a prototype. Now I was searching for the technology to make this a lot easier, and recently I came across it. I don't know whether it's new out. It's not available everywhere yet, but I think it will be. And they are so small. I picked up 3 of these in the UK for around £11. So they're really cheap. I think the cheapest I found for the US, shipping from China, was less than $4 each. But you can shop around and find these probably cheaper on AliExpress or somewhere like that. And basically inside the packet you get the module itself. Now I can't see a reed switch in there. I don't understand how it works. There must be such a small reed switch built into somewhere. I can't see one. I mean, this is one that I used. Let me see if I can crack that open just so you can see how it works. So that is the reed switch. That's a very small glass tube with the 2 connections slightly, like, you can see from my fingertips how small these things are. So when the magnet approaches, it pulls the switch together to make a connection. It's really clever stuff. So to have this kind of technology, it's absolutely crazy. So in the pack, you get the module, you get 1 battery, and you get a magnet. So you place the battery in the module, and basically the magnet activates the light. There's got to be somewhere in one of these a tiny reed switch. I can't think of how this is working otherwise. Now this particular one, it does go through different modes, but can you imagine what we can do with this? It's going to be incredible. And these also come in different colors, but I just got the white ones because you can always, use colored resin if you're using resin, or colored films if you're not using. What did I just say? You can always use colored resin if you're using resin. If you're not using resin, you could use colored films, and I'll show you. But as for the hardware, I mean, I bought this set a while ago. I've used them on the channel before. It's like a variation, but what I have found is a link just for these, and these are the ones that we are going to be using. You get 10, I do believe, in the US for $15, around $15. In the UK, £14. You get 10 of these, which is really cheap. So in this set though, you get 2. But even these, we could mod these because the module fits inside these quite nicely. But the only thing I will say is that these aren't going to be waterproof. You may find a way to waterproof them if you want, but remember, we do need access to be able to change the batteries when the batteries do run out. But just imagine, it may be a few years, 5 years maybe, you're going to get rechargeable ones of these. It's going to be incredible. I love the way technology evolves. But what I'll do is I'll pop the link for these ones also, because you might want to play around with these. I'll pop the link for everything I'm using in the description box below. So onto these. They click shut, they're secure, and they open really nicely. Again, these fit inside absolutely perfectly, like so. They move around, but we can prevent that. This is still prototype, guys. It's still, you know, an early idea. There are going to be tweaks. You're probably going to come up with ideas as well. Let me know in the comments how you would do it. But yeah, this is just a kind of an initial video to show you the tech. So you'll see when I close the cage up, turn that on, it doesn't look too fancy, does it? I mean, we need to change it up and make it look nice. Now, there are going to be ways of making it look nice depending on what you want. You could, if you wanted to, somehow bezel tape this up and infill with UV resin and kind of create the design that you want with that. That's entirely up to you. But a much quicker and easier way is to use coloured films. So I've got these coloured films from Little Windows. Again, 15% discount code in the description box if you do decide to go with these, but experiment with other things, sweet wrappers, things like that. But what you can do is you can just lay the films over. If we turn the module on, what you can do is kind of just go through and see which ones work ideally for you. Now, what you'll notice is that it's not, the light isn't diffused very well. Very well? Very well. So the handy thing is with these sheets is that they come with like a piece of paper in between, which will actually work as a diffuser for the light. So you'll notice the difference with that sheet of paper behind it. But if you're using other things, what you could use is like a piece of baking parchment paper, baking paper, whatever you want to call it. We've had this discussion in the previous video. But you can use stuff like that to diffuse the light a bit better in the piece. So just play around with different coloured films. You can also use dichroic films. These are from Little Windows again. Just play around with different colours until you get the desired effect. And the good thing about these films is that even with the light off, they're going to give a really nice effect inside the piece once cut out. And to get the right size, so you get the perfect circle, just hunt around. You might have existing cabochons. I mean, this, for example, I made quite a while ago. It fits perfectly inside. So this makes a really good template to draw around my films so that I know I've got the perfect shape to fit inside the front of this. So what I would do is just hold that down. I've got a pin and I'm just going to score around the shape to mark the film ready to just cut out with some scissors. Really quick and easy, simple. You can't go wrong. So here you will see my piece of film is cut and fits inside perfectly. Now, because these have got two different designs, what you can do is you can also do a secondary color on the back. So all you'd need to do is open it and turn your module around. So you could, if you fancy that design, you know, you could just switch it around and use that. Just like that. And all you would need is one sheet of your paper, so that depending on what side you want to use, you can just switch them over and then place your module inside. Really simple. If you wanted to as well, you could do two and then just glue them together so it's not just two sheets. Again, play around with this, but it's super easy. Now, if you are thinking of using UV resin somehow, just remember that you still need space inside for that module. You don't want to go filling loads of resin in here and then getting to the end and realizing that it doesn't close in. So just have a little play around. So this is where we are up to. We've got a nice red sunset there. Now the module can move around inside. Again, you can find a way of just gluing that in place. But I don't think it looks bad wherever it is, because it just looks like the sun in the background behind the tree. It's really cool. I love this. And there it is on the other side. Not as nice, but then it could depend on the color. Just change things up and see how it goes. So now we have the basic design of the pendant, however you decide you want to do it. Now we need to think about the magnet. Now, because I'm a resin artist, I naturally go to resin. You could think of other ways to turn and turn off your pendant. But what I found with these is they are very small, but they're a little bit too thick for the hardware that I've got. So I'm lucky enough to have these ones. I've got lots of them, really, really cheap, and they're so much thinner and easier to work with. But again, you could easily hide that in something else that you're wearing to activate the pendant. And these thin ones work just as well. So what I did is I just used one of these. They're really cheap. I'd suggest finding something better than this. I mean, again, it's just a prototype, but the magnet easily fits inside there, and you can top that up with resin if you wish. You could glue in something, as long as it's the right size. Measure it, before you commit. But what I've also just found, and this is crazy how well this fits. I've also got these prong rings, really, really cheap. But watch this. This is absolutely crazy. I cannot believe how well that has just fit inside there. So if you're not a resin artist, you could easily use these rings and find a stone to put inside there and just bend the prongs over and glue it just using some super glue. Because whatever you put above that magnet is going to hold that in place. It's not going anywhere. I cannot believe how well that fits inside there. It's like it's made for it. It's a much better option than using that, especially if you're not a resin artist. And it'll also allow the magnetic field to come out the bottom, which is really, really handy. I mean, it's just typical. I've gone through my little stash of stones and none of them are quite the size that I need for this, but you get the idea. I mean, that's way too big. But just, hunt around if you're near a beach. I mean, it's not legal in the UK to go to the beach and take stones. It's really, really funny. It's not funny because it's to protect the coastlines, but those rules don't apply everywhere. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all my subscribers. It is free. Hit that button for me. If you are a resin artist, this is the cavity you need to use for these prong rings. So if you can see that, so the big ovals are down here and you've got these here. This is just one that I made earlier. It would fit inside there. Again, glue it if you like. You can hide the magnet underneath it, like so. Pop that in and then just bend your prongs to hold that in place. So that again would still activate your pendant. So cool. And if you use the conquering hardware from Resin Rockers, you would have seen me make these in #221. You can again easily hide one of these very, very thin magnets inside one of the conquering bezels really, really easily. And just to show you, I mean, I'm holding that magnet behind the bezel and the resin, and it still activates the pendant. So the range is really good. So the ring that I showed at the beginning of the video, I just used, you can see the magnet through it. It was just to see if it would work. It's not a brilliant finish. It was a rush job. I just used some dichroic film in there just to hide or hold, not so much hide because it hasn't worked. And that was using one of these cheapy stainless steel rings, but again, it does work like so. Right, so in a moment I'm going to dim the lights and you can see it a little bit better, but as always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment, even if it's just a smiley face. It helps with the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that button for me. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more using this tech coming out soon, maybe with different hardware, different designs. Yeah, this is absolutely epic stuff. Now, again, they're not on Amazon. They can be tricky to get. There are a couple of different styles. If you've got Google Lens, screenshot this picture and image search it. You need these to be the right size to fit inside the hardware. I don't want you going and buying the wrong hardware and then coming and blaming me. But again, there is the brand. I'll pop the links in the description. I'm not affiliated with any of these companies or on eBay. So yeah, image search that. So all in all, this has cost around £6, $6-ish to create something really unique, which you can kind of tweak to whatever style you want. With Halloween coming up, you could do some Halloween vibes, have it flashy. It's entirely up to you. But I just think this is absolutely incredible. I love it. Right, hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.